All right. Hi again, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. We're here to announce an update on the former Rockhill Apartments site, as well as Hilltop Redevelopment update. My name is Ashley Round. I'm here on behalf of GNWT Cabinet Communications. We'll be hearing remarks from the Honourable Minister Rebecca Alty, Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations and Member of Parliament for Northwest Territories, on behalf of the Honourable Gregor Robertson, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure and Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development, Canada, and the Honourable Minister Lucy Kuptana, Minister responsible for Housing Northwest Territories and responsible for the status of women, and the Honourable Minister Caitlin Cleveland, Minister of Education, Culture and Employment and Industry, Tourism and Investment. We will then open the floor to questions from the media before closing the official event. So please note we will be asking media members to line up at the green tape over by the other camera because we are live streaming on Facebook, and so we'd like our viewers to hear your questions. Without further ado, I would like to invite Minister Alty up to provide her remarks.
Thank you, Ashley, for the kind introduction, and welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon. It feels like just yesterday I was here with Minister Kuptana for another big housing announcement, and of course it was yesterday that I was flying back with Minister Cleveland, so great to be with you again today. Back in October, we came together to introduce over $5.5 million in funding between the federal government and the Government of the Northwest Territories to help repair 150 much-needed rental units. It was a really great day, and I'm very happy to be back so soon to share some more good housing news with you all. When we were here back in the fall, we talked about the urgent need for more housing in the NWT, particularly affordable housing. We talked about how in recent years we haven't built enough and we haven't built fast enough. Too many people have been priced out of the market, and too many people are struggling to find safe, decent rental units. Our government recognizes that housing is more than just having a place to live. It's about dignity, stability, and creating opportunities to grow. That's why we're taking action and building more affordable housing for those who need it most, today and in the years to come. With that, it's my pleasure to announce that Canada's government is providing over $24 million to help build 30 new transitional housing units in Yellowknife and 10 social housing units. The Government of the Northwest Territories will also be building an additional 24 units, bringing the grand total to 64 units. However, I'll let Minister Kuptana speak about that more. The Rockhill Transitional Housing Project will offer private, transitional, and social housing units for those who are vulnerable to homelessness, giving more of our neighbours across Yellowknife the safety and stability of home. It will also offer social housing replacement units, a mixture of bachelor suites, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and even 4-bedroom housing units, which we know are greatly needed in Yellowknife. The need for transitional and social housing in the community is urgent. Housing NWT, the Government of the Northwest Territories, the City of Yellowknife, the RCMP, shelter operators, and NGOs have been advocating for a long-term solution. This project is part of that solution. The 64 units we're building will be permanent, filling a gap in the city once the temporary unhoused homeless encampment initiative ends. This represents a chance at a fresh start for some of the most vulnerable people in our community and brings us closer to a better, fairer future for all. Rockhill's 64 private units will each have their own bathroom and kitchenette. Of those 64 units, 14 will be barrier-free to accommodate those with accessibility needs, and 10 will be low-cost rental units made available through Housing NWT's public housing program. Once completed, Rockhill residents will have access to common spaces for dining, relaxation, and wellness activities, along with 24 nearby childcare spaces for families. At the same time, there will be dedicated space for program administrators to further support residents. This investment we're making today is part of more than $16 billion our government has put forward to urgently build the affordable rental homes that Canada needs. But at the same time, we know that this alone is not enough to solve the housing crisis. That's why our government has launched Building Canada Homes, a new federal agency focused on building affordable housing at the scale we need. Like the investment we're announcing today, Building Canada Homes will fight homelessness by building transitional and supportive housing. It will also partner with private developers to build affordable homes for middle-class Canadians. By combining development, financing, and innovation, Building Canada Homes will make large housing projects financially viable. It will also attract enormous private capital into affordable home building, enabling private manufacturers and modular home builders to invest in new factories, expand capacity rapidly, and continue to innovate. This, along with a series of other measures, including the $24 million in funding we're announcing today, will help double the pace of housing construction in this country over the next decade. As a government, we recognize that we must build homes at a pace not seen in generations, and that's precisely what we're committed to do today. By working in collaboration with the Government of the Northwest Territories, the municipal government and industry, and NGOs, we will build more homes that Yellowknifers and Canadians can afford. And we'll build Canada strong. Thank you, merci, and masicho.
Thank you, Minister Alty. I'd now like to invite Minister Kuptana up to provide her remarks.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. I'd like to acknowledge our MLAs and Mayor Ben Hendrickson from the City of Yellowknife. Also acknowledge Minister Alty and Minister Cleveland for joining today. I'm so happy to make this announcement. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to Minister Alty for joining us. Today is about delivering more homes for Northerners and creating conditions that support people and communities. It's about moving from plans to action and bringing real and needed housing solutions to the people in Yellowknife and across the territory. We all know the pressure residents across the territory are feeling when it comes to housing. I see it in the low vacancy rates, in the number of households living in homes that are unaffordable, in the number of homes that need major repairs, and the long wait list for public housing. These challenges affect families and the health of people and communities, and this is why this project matters. At 54th Avenue, we are moving forward with a major new housing development that brings together transitional housing, social housing, and early learning and childcare all at one site. This project addresses critical community needs and is designed to support people where they are, help them stabilize and create pathways to long-term housing by building a space for community. This new community housing project will deliver 64 new homes in total, including 30 permanent transitional housing units, 10 three-bedroom social housing units, 24 additional social housing units for families, and a new early learning and childcare center. It will also include accessible units so people with different mobility needs can live here with dignity and independence. The addition of permanent transitional housing units means we can move away from temporary measures in Yellowknife and provide people with stable housing and supports now and into the future. None of this work would happen without a partnership. A significant portion of this project is being made possible through federal investment, with $24 million being contributed through the Rapid Housing Substream of CMHC's Affordable Housing Fund, which will fund 30 transitional housing units and 10 three-bedroom social housing units for families. I want to thank Minister Alty, Minister Robertson, and the Government of Canada for working with us to move this shovel-ready project forward and make a real difference for people in Yellowknife. In addition to the federal funding, our government is contributing this project by investing in the 24 social housing units for family. This will replace units associated with the Hilltop row housing. Our government is also investing in an early learning and childcare center on site. This investment reflects how we see housing. Housing is more than a place to sleep. It gives people stability and helps families feel safe. It supports parents so they can work and gives our children a place to grow up healthy and strong. Construction is planned to begin this summer with completion targeted by 2028. This is a critical project and we have a clear path forward to deliver it. At the same time, we are taking responsible steps to prepare for a future housing development by moving forward with the demolition of Hilltop Apartments, which has reached the end of its service life. Tenants have been supported through this transition in partnership with the Yellowknife Housing Authority and have been relocated into other units in the city. Now the site will be prepared for future redevelopment by Housing NWT. This work is about renewal. We are retiring housing that no longer works or creating space to build what comes next. Over the next couple of years, my MLA colleagues have been clear about housing must be a priority, and I want to thank regular members for their advocacy on this file. Their voices help shape a stronger, multi-year commitment to housing, and today is one example of that commitment turning into something real on the ground. I am proud of the work that's gone into getting us to this point and look forward to seeing this project move forward. Most importantly, I look forward to seeing more homes for families and people in community. Koe naini.
Thank you, Minister Kuptana, and I will invite our final speaker, Minister Cleveland, up to provide remarks.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Well, what an exciting way to finish off a Friday. So huge thank you to everybody. And I couldn't think of a better reason to come together to celebrate housing, education, health, and the intersection of childcare in there, the intersection of economic development and prosperity for Northerners. So huge thank you to my colleague, Minister Kuptana, for inviting me to speak with you today on behalf of the government of the Northwest Territories. And of course, Minister Alty for being here for such an exciting announcement on behalf of the government of Canada. We know that more housing is needed in the Northwest Territories, and your government is working very hard to deliver that. And we also know that more childcare is needed for the Northwest Territories, and being able to combine infrastructure to achieve both of those things is so critically important as we work to make sure that we're using our dollars in the smartest way possible. It's incredibly important that we look at the multitude of impacts of this facility. We've got, first of all, the creation of jobs for Northerners, and with the intersection of housing and childcare. And we've also got the education component for our youth who are going to have access to childcare at a young age, right in their home setting, very easily accessible for parents. And that leads us, of course, to families and parents and the caregivers of these children who have pathways both to re-enter the workforce and both to gain access and pathways to education as well, which is critically important, not just for those families, but for the future of those children as well. So huge thank you to both of you and to all the partners in our community that continue to advocate, continue to work together in order to make sure that we're all working together for the prosperity of Northerners at the end of the day. So huge mussy.
Thank you, Minister Cleveland, and an additional thank you to all our speakers. I will now invite media and open up the question portion of today's press conference. Just give a moment. Hi, yes, CBC?
Kuptana or Mr. Cleveland clarify how much the GMWT's investment is and how it breaks down between the social units and the early learning center?
Use the mic, please. I think it's in your live stream.
I think there's a microphone here. Yeah.
Sure. I think initially with the early learning have a contribution of $1.7 million with the daycare stream of funding. And then in addition to that, we have funding through Housing NWT's $150 million contribution for the next 3 years. So the units for Yellowknife will come out of that $150 million fund.
Okay, could Minister Cleveland talk more about the Early Learning Center and what will be available through that for the parents?
The daycare center will have 24 spaces available, and we were able to use our early childhood and infrastructure funding to contribute the $1.7 million in order to I guess, beef up some of the funding for that and to be able to support the space required for those kids.
Is it expected to open in 2028 as well? Is it expected to open in 2028 as well?
Yeah, so it would be on the operator. So as soon as the operators are done, and we can work together with housing to ensure that we're working with, the fire marshal and all the licensing requirements as well to make sure that those are as in line as possible for sure.
Do we have any other list that would like to pose questions? Okay.
Tough crowd.
I know.
Thank you, everybody.